Yeah, Caitlin Clark, sorry to interrupt, Rebecca, getting into it with a fan who she was going back and forth with in the front row and pointing it out to the officials as Clark and Bonner have a conversation now too, and they're going at it. And now the officials calling on security to take a look. And now security is going to have a conversation with that gentleman.
Did you catch the Fever versus Sun game? Things got heated, and not just on the court. Caitlin Clark had to deal with a disruptive fan, and security had to step in. But that's just the beginning of the story. Let's talk about what went down. The Indiana Fever and Connecticut Sun were battling it out in the playoffs, and Clark was on fire. She was dishing out assists, sinking shots, and grabbing rebounds like it was nothing. You'd think she was a veteran, not a rookie. But here's where it gets crazy. In the middle of this intense game, something unexpected happened. A fan started causing trouble, and it was bad enough that Clark had to speak up. Can you imagine trying to focus on the biggest game of your career with that kind of distraction? This wasn't just any game, it was the playoffs, and Clark's rookie season was on the line. Everything she'd worked for came down to this moment. But what happened next would test Clark's composure like never before. Clark's focus was laser sharp, but one fan was about to cross a line that even seasoned players struggle to handle. How she responded in that moment would reveal more about her character than any highlight reel ever could. Picture this, Clark's in the zone, making plays left and right. The crowd's roaring, the game's intense, and then suddenly something catches her attention. It's not a teammate or an opponent, it's a fan in the stands. And this isn't your typical enthusiastic supporter. This fan's comments are so disruptive that Clark can't ignore them anymore. Now, we've all seen players get heckled before, but this was different. Clark, in the middle of the biggest game of her career, had to make a split-second decision. Does she brush it off and keep playing, or does she speak up? Well, Clark chose to address it head on. She turned to the referees and pointed out the fan, showing that she wasn't going to let this slide. That's when things got real. Security stepped in and escorted the fan away for a chat. Can you imagine the tension in the arena? Everyone's watching, wondering what's going to happen next. It's like the whole game was on pause for a moment. Here's the thing, this isn't just about one fan or one game, it's a bigger issue in sports. Players deal with this kind of stuff more often than you'd think, and it's not just annoying, it can really mess with their focus and performance.
Definitely had our opportunities late, and then a few different miscues, and it's back to a 2-possession game, and we couldn't quite get over the hump there.
You know, a couple of defensive situations that we're gonna, go back and be probably really upset about. But I mean, these guys, they battled, and these guys, they're a great team. Connecticut is a great team.
Get a little taste of, what's possible for this organization and for this franchise, and there's a lot for us to, hold our heads high about.
We're all competitors in that locker room, and so it doesn't feel good. It just doesn't feel good to leave here and not have the opportunity to get another one.
After the game, some of the Sun players spoke out about it. They talked about how fans sometimes cross the line, even throwing out racist and homophobic comments. That's not just disrespectful, it's straight up unacceptable. It shows we've got a long way to go in changing how some fans behave at games. But here's where Clark really shines. Instead of letting this throw her off her game, she used it as fuel. Her quick thinking and assertiveness in dealing with the situation, that's leadership right there. She showed everyone that she's not just a rookie with skills on the court, she's got the mental toughness to handle whatever comes her way. And get this, the fan was actually allowed to come back to his seat later. That tells us the situation was handled without things getting too out of control, but it definitely left an impression on everyone watching. While most players would have crumbled under that pressure, Clark had other plans. Remember when I said she was in the zone earlier? Well, after that fan got escorted out, Clark went into a whole new level. What happened next was pure basketball magic. Clark didn't just brush off the fan incident, she used it as rocket fuel. You could see the determination in her eyes as she stepped back onto the court. It was like she was saying, "You think that's gonna stop me? Watch this." And boy, did she deliver. Clark's stats for the game, absolutely insane. She was dropping dimes left and right, sinking shots from downtown, and grabbing rebounds like her life depended on it. It wasn't just good, it was rookie record-breaking good. Let's break it down. Clark finished the game with a triple-double. That's right, a triple-double in a playoff game as a rookie. You know how many other rookies have done that in WNBA playoff history? Zero. Nada. Zilch. Clark's the first and only, but it wasn't just about the numbers, it was how she got them. Clark was playing like she had something to prove, and every move she made on the court screamed, "I belong here." Now, let's talk about that physical exchange with DeWanna Bonner. Things got heated, and Clark wasn't backing down. There was a moment when Clark actually shoved Bonner during a play. Some might call it crossing a line, but others, they saw it as Clark standing her ground, showing she wasn't going to be pushed around, literally or figuratively. That's the thing about Clark. She's not just talented, she's tough. And in a high-pressure playoff game, that toughness is worth its weight in gold. You know what's really impressive? How Clark kept her cool through all of this. She didn't let the fan drama or the physical play throw her off her game. Instead, she stayed locked in, focused on what was happening on the floor. That's the kind of mental toughness you usually see in seasoned vets, not rookies playing in their first playoff series. Clark's performance in this game wasn't just good for a rookie, it was good, period. She was matching up against some of the best players in the league and holding her own. No, scratch that. She was dominating. And here's the kicker. Clark did all this with a target on her back. Everyone knows she's the Fever's star player, so you bet the Sun were doing everything they could to shut her down. But Clark, she just kept finding ways to make plays. Clark's not just making plays, she's making history. And I'm not talking about her stats. What if I told you she's transforming the entire WNBA? There's a reason why security had to step in, and it's bigger than just one rowdy fan. Let's talk about the real game changer here, the 2024 WNBA season. It was off the charts. We're talking an average of 1.2 million viewers per game. That's not just good, it's insane. It's almost triple the 440,000 viewers from the year before. And you know who's right at the center of this explosion? Yep, Caitlin Clark. Get this, Clark was featured in 34 Nielsen-rated broadcasts, and more than half of those, they hit over 1 million viewers. That's not just star power, that's superstar status. Clark isn't just playing the game, she's changing how people watch it. But here's where things get real. This fan incident, it's not just about one game or one player. It's shining a light on some serious issues in sports. We're talking player safety, respect, and the kind of behavior that has no place in any arena. After that playoff game, Sun player Elisa Thomas spoke out. She said, "It's been a lot of nonsense. I've never experienced the race seal comments like from the Indiana Fever fan base." That's heavy stuff. It's not just heckling anymore. We're talking about racist and homophobic comments. That's crossing a line that shouldn't even exist. But here's where Clark really shows she's more than just a rookie with a hot hand. She's been speaking up about this stuff from day one. Clark's all about respect, and not just for herself. She said, "I think everybody in our world deserves the same amount of respect. The women in our league deserve the same amount of respect." That's not just talk, that's leadership. Think about it. Clark's not just changing how the game is played on the court, she's changing the whole culture around women's basketball. She's showing that it's okay to stand up to disrespectful fans, that players deserve better, and that the WNBA is must-watch TV. And you know what's really wild? This is just the beginning. Clark's influence is growing faster than her stats. She's reshaping how fans interact with players, how the league handles these situations, and maybe even how we think about sports culture as a whole. So what's next for Caitlin Clark? After that wild game, she's not just a rookie anymore, she's a force to be reckoned with. Clark showed us she's got game on and off the court. She's not afraid to stand up for herself or her teammates, and that's huge. Looking ahead to her second season, Clark's set to blow everyone's minds. She's already breaking records and changing how people watch the WNBA. Imagine what she'll do with a full season under her belt. But here's the big question. How's Clark's stand against that fan going to change things? Will we see more players speaking up? Will fans think twice before crossing the line? What do you think needs to happen to make games safer and more respectful for everyone?